We have Ghanshyam Tiwari. He's the national spokesperson for the Samajwadi Party. Priyanka Kakkar, she's the national spokesperson for the Aam Aadmi Party. Varun Kumar, he's joining us from the Telugu Desam Party. And Siddharth Yadav, he's the national spokesperson for the BJP. A lot of Bonhomie love back there. Anand, do come onto the stage to carry this conversation forward.
Namaste. Oh, if you can always smile like this with each other, like so. If political discourses and debates were like the conversation that we were having at the table it'll be fantastic. But there are two. Let's congratulate them and put their hands together. Siddharth Yadav just recently got married, so congratulations there. Varun is into his third year, so just out of his honeymoon period of marriage. So, and it's his first time on a national platform as spokesperson of the TDP. So he's a Yuva and he needs some encouragement. So, long honeymoon then. जो शादीशुदा उनको पता है 2 साल बाद क्या होता है अब तो अभी तो शुरू हुई है कहानी. Anyway, Priyanka ji, you are the dynamic. अब वक्त क्या?
You'll have to give the context since she said that young dynamic leader. So I looked at him, I said, I'm dynamic, you are young. And that is what he's referring to.
And Ghanshyam, I met him as an educationist. And he's traversed the politics of UP, Bihar, UP, and then national politics. And we've had a lot of run-ins on debates, but I always hold him dear to my heart because he's doing some phenomenal work in the field of education. So as a politician, he's also doing some great work as an educationist. So welcome everybody. So we're going to traverse the length and breadth of your own personal journeys into politics, and then of course some real politics. But first, let's start with you, Priyanka ji. How did AAP happen? How did politics happen? And what were you before you turned politician?
Well, I am and I was a lawyer besides being in politics, and I'm very grateful to the Aam Aadmi Party, to Arvind Kejriwal ji, who collected us very passionate young people and gave us the freedom to grow and taught us how to question without offending people. And you will see Aam Aadmi Party, I can with great pride say, is the only party which has no parivarvad. You know, it was all us people from no political backgrounds. We got such a platform. I know he wants to jump in on this one, but you will have to be better behaved than Shehzad Poonawala. So that is my journey. I'm also a lawyer alongside being in politics. I'm very swayed by the idea of everyone getting good quality education in the country. I'm very swayed by the fact that everyone should have access to affordable healthcare because, like my leader Arvind Kejriwal ji says, the middle class is one hospital bill away from poverty. I will not agree with any aankadas he will give because I read his notes secretly, so I can already tell you. And besides that, I mean, that's the little about myself, and I do want to come to the political part because that is more.
No, but what is this with lawyers and politics?
I think
हर पार्टी में, हर political party में आप मानेंगे ना?
ये भी lawyer हैं.
हाँ वही तो.
हाँ ये भी lawyer हैं. Basically, I think it just allows us to question without much fear or fervor. I would think it also gives us an analytical bent of mind and see both sides of the coin, more perspective. I mean, I'm glad to be a lawyer. I can argue either way, I would say.
No, but I don't know, the political bug bites you or you...
No, actually, you know what happens in the court? You see so many cases. You see the injustice. You see what is happening with the country in a more broader perspective than what the media influences you through. Sorry, I don't mean it in a negative way.
No, sure.
It's just that the problems
there is a dynamic and there is a perspective.
Yeah, the problems there are manifold. And then you get to read about them, indulge in them, you get to know the perspective. It's a much broader field which gives you...
Kabhi aisa hua, you had a run in a heated debate with another spokesperson and next day you are on the same side arguing in court, or you got to work together on a particular case?
Yes, it has happened. And I think that is the beauty of a democracy, where I can fight with Siddharth Yadav currently and maybe have a cup of coffee thereafter.
You think that happens even today? Okay,
Not
because
so
a
much.
lot of seasoned politicians say कि वो ज़माना और
Not
था.
so much. I agree. Not so much. It used to happen, but not so much anymore, which is sad.
Why is that, Ghanshyam, as we get into your journey as into politics?
Thank you so much for this stage. My journey into politics. My father served Air Force. I grew up studying in Kendriya Vidyalayas, became passionate about social sector, traveled the country from Punjab to Tamil Nadu to Maharashtra to UP, Rajasthan, studied in Karnataka, became a semiconductor engineer. Worked in Bangalore, now semiconductor is a buzzword, worked in Bangalore with Texas Instruments and Intel. But eventually my fascination to enter social sector motivated me to pursue higher education. So went to IIM Bangalore, Kellogg, some of these good institutions, Harvard. Eventually came to Patna after the education and worked with Nitish Kumarji for around 6 years in Bihar on various ideas from politics to communications, and began a education startup in Delhi in 2016. Akhilesh ji invited me to be a national spokesperson for the party, and here I am. I think to your question that why is it divisive now, I think we have too many people thinking that they will sit on a sofa in their drawing room and decide who's nationalistic, who's Hindu, who's not Hindu, rather than traveling across the country, living in our beautiful villages, towns. I think when you travel the country, from village to town to city, across the nation, you realize that nobody is wanting anybody to give anyone certificate of nationalism, or certificate of Hinduism, or certificate of Islam. I think it's a handful of people who want to paint the entire country in one way, and that is why things are becoming divisive.
True, but you can also fight on television or argue, fight on the floor of parliament. You have a political difference, but you can still be friends. Have you not seen, as a tech guy yourself and someone who understands, people unfriending people on Facebook, on platforms because you hold a political ideology? How did that happen? How can you unfriend a friend because there's a political difference? You may oppose Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he may support Prime Minister Narendra Modi. You may oppose the BJP, you may support the Samajwadi Party, he may oppose the Samajwadi. But that doesn't stop the two of you from being friends, right? Why do you unfriend people based on their political... Vishnu Jain is in the house. Big round of applause for him. Namaste. Yeah.
Let me append that question with the thought that we are in the age and era of AI. Just in the previous panel, they spoke about how technology can nudge you based on your various habits. We will be in a time when you can speak to your phone and it will talk to you in a conversational AI in any language about your account, the habits, the kind of scams you can be exposed to, the kind of investment you can make. Similarly, you take Siddharth's phone, you take everyone's phone here, Anand's phone, my phone, right? And you ask the phone in due course, based on the messages on my phone, am I a hateful person? Do I get everyday messages of hate? And you will know the answer. If your phone tells you, it's not Ghanshyam Tiwari or Priyanka Kakkar or Anand, it's not Modi ji. If your phone tells you that based on the history of your messages on your phone, you are a hateful person or you're not a hateful person, you get so many messages related to hate. It could be related to any community. But if your phone is telling you that for 10 years, your message history tells you you've been a hateful person, then there's no way you can sit across the table for a cup of coffee with somebody who thinks differently. Fundamentally, we have to decide for the youth and for the future, whether it is through television, through YouTube, we're talking about adolescents as well, are technologies, messages, this continuing barrage of painted, single-minded narratives making us hateful or not. If we don't decide, technology will decide for us. One final point. When you get a call, those of you who have Truecaller on your phone, if the number says it's a spam, you'll probably not pick up. So before you knew that person, technology has already marked that person as spam. In due course, the same technology, if somebody is speaking, Siddharth is speaking, I am speaking, and a bottom ticker, which is AI generated, says that this person is hateful, you may not listen to them.
But there's a fundamental difference in the comparison that you make, and I hope the audience appreciates that. When you unfriend a person, that person is already your friend. It's not technology or a number. A number is spam. A person is not. And I said you're unfriending people. I'm not saying you are befriending people or deciding not to accept it. Hanji, ji. And then we'll get Varun
one
and
has to agree and
Siddharth.
admit that what has happened in today's time is it's my way or the highway. So if you don't, it's the government has imposed it such, you have a different view, you are an anti-national. The area and space for discussion, that has become very narrow. And that is one thing which percolates from the top, you know, when it trickles down from the top and we also think similarly, and then the person will unfriend you. This is what I think.
No, I'll tell you one thing. Let me ask you. There are political parties who have, I will tell you personal experience, who have decided not to come on my show because they believe this person's point of view is not akin to us or whatever their position. All right, that's your professional position as a politician. Does that mean you will not come and sit and have a coffee and have a conversation offline? There's a difference there. Why is it that what is your political position is deciding your personal life and how you will behave and interact with it as people? Sorry, I'll get Varun in. Yes, Varun. And as an ally, as somebody that is a TDP, which was part of the NDA, then moved out of the NDA, and I was back thick in the NDA and propping it up largely, you know, along with the JDU. What is your point of view? And as a youngster,
Thank you for this.
You must have got into politics in the last 8-10 years, correct?
16 plus.
Ah, all right.
So I have a cycle party along with me. Our symbol is also cycle. I have an ally already, so I have 3 friends already on the stage. So 3 things, Anandji. In politics, there are no permanent friends and permanent enemies. First thing, let's get that right. Second thing, in social media, you add friends, you don't make friends. Okay, friends are made outside and you add them on social media. Please don't get confused. We have a tendency of feeling people as friends on social media. They are just your contact list. That's what is my personal opinion. Third thing is that we have come over from a transition phase wherein believing politicians, so for example, if I'm a politician, if Mr. Ghanshyam is also a politician from another party, we've forgotten the fact he is my rival or competitor, but he's not my enemy. Okay, we have now come with an agenda where you're from another party, you are my enemy. I know you for 10 years, 20 years, I know your personal affiliations, etc. No, you are my enemy, no matter what. If that's the case, then nothing can change us. They say ideology is thicker than blood, so friendship has to be thicker than ideology if you have to get out of this. So anybody who comes with that mindset of unfriending someone, even in personal life, not social media, even in personal life, because he believes in a different ideology, I think that has to be evolved at a personal level. It has to come from the inner side. So if you believe ideology is thicker than blood, then keep friendship is thicker than ideology or relationship is thicker than ideology.
Very well said there. In fact, someone told me those who are unfriending you because you hold a particular view, then perhaps were never your friends because they never understood all of you. Now, that's one perspective. The other perspective is, listen, if I disagree with this person, I don't want this person in my life. So that's another point of view. We all have to individually decide where we are. Siddharth Yadav, where are you? And how about this foray into politics? Arey, achhe khase lawyer the, you're doing very well, badhiya practice. Why get into politics?
Thank you, Anand, for having me on your show. About my journey, I think I come from a defense background. I have most people in my family, I think more than 30, who are either serving or have served in the armed forces. I lost my father in the Kargil war, and I think I was very young then. I was just 4 years old. And I think that was when I first thought that there is some service that I need to do. I need to choose the way, I need to choose the platform. But there is something that I have to do for this country. I wanted to join the services, but as one would understand, the family who goes through this is never keen for another person joining the forces again, and I had to just fill my NDA form and not go for the examination. But, you know, having said that, I joined the Delhi University. I got into the SRCC college. I then went on to do law. I became a student activist. I worked as a student activist with Akhil Bharatiya Vidyarthi Parishad for 10 years. Working in the ABVP, I served on various positions. The zeal was continuous. We have to do something for the country wherever we are. And then, you know, I'm very grateful that the largest party, as we say, the Bharatiya Janata Party and the one in government, gave a chance to such a young person to represent the thoughts of the party on national television. And being the youngest on the panel as well, I think, you know, all contributions and all attribution of that has to be given to the party. But when it comes down to the question that you're asking, I think that's more important than my story today. Because the time that we are in, it's a different time. And I'll explain you why, what is my understanding, why we think that there is so much animosity, or, you know, why friends are unfriending friends, and why all of this is happening. I feel personally that we are in an uncomfortable political space today. That uncomfortable political space is because the comfort in this country of a political space was when one party ruled the country for 50 years. Now system is challenged. New people came in. The entire atmosphere is changed. When one party was ruling this country for 55 years, things were very different. Probably we were always in the opposition. We knew how to be in the opposition. Probably we only knew how to be in the opposition. We had never even dreamt of, how do we do if we get into power. But in the past 10, 11 years, when the people of this country gave a solid mandate, a government after government, a clean majority, choosing one leader, backing one leader, transformations happening, a lot of systems are challenged. When that happens, and when we stand at that juncture, it is difficult to accept, and I'm not blaming anybody or any political party that they cannot accept the defeat or they cannot accept the change, but it is difficult to accept that this can also happen. Now in India, we are in power from past 11 years, and we accept that we are not going to be in power probably for the next 100 years, next 50, 55 years. But the reality is that governments can come and governments can go. The reality is that the people are backing ideologies. If a Congress will go, no unstable governments will come. If a Congress will go, stable governments will come. If one thought which was there, which was prevailing in the country, if that goes away, there is this thought which is challenging what we were told and taught for so many years. When that happens, I think, these differences grow up. And it also becomes so, and I'm going to make a political point now, which probably will have to be answered, because I think this session should not be like the last one, and also not should be like the previous one. But I'm going to make a political point. When a prime minister in this country is elected by the people, an official campaign by the party which ruled this country for 55, 60 years is that Chaukidar chor hai. Ye prime minister chor hai. If I have to speak for Priyanka ji, in 2015, his party leader made a tweet ki PM Modi is a coward and a psychopath. If we say such things, if top leaders say such things, अब मैं और प्रियंका जी उसके बाद बैठ करके कॉफी भी पिएंगे अगर, और मैं इनको बोलूंगा कि आपके लीडर ने गलत बात बोली, she is bound to defend what.
No, I'll tell you.
I think if we, I just conclude in 10 seconds.
Yeah,
I think if we go beyond that, and we as young politicians, I think, because all of us are young, if we start to draw that line and say कि नहीं चलो ये चीज मेरी पार्टी ने गलत करी या आपकी पार्टी की ठीक थी, I think कि वो unfriending वाला काम कम हो जाएगा और we can have more coffees.
I'll say just one quick thing. I think when the language of the Prime Minister and the culture that Prime Minister communicates will be visible in the language of anchors, will be visible in language of spokespersons, will be visible in the language of members of parliament in the debates. And because our debates in parliament are visible to everybody, you can see the language of debates. It was not long ago that a Delhi MP abused openly in the parliament and not one BJP MP stood up against it. In fact, senior leaders were laughing and cheering him. So I think as far as language of the Prime Minister is concerned and things that has been said up to the Prime Minister, whether it is Chandrababu Naidu ji, he has said, I think this is the new normal that has been set up. But we are here to discuss what is the newer normal that is possible for the youth. My worry is that when the top leadership demonstrates poor language, we're talking about protests from Samajwadi Party on the language of Delhi Chief Minister, then the language of society goes for a toss. And when there's a barrage of hateful messages that are sent to mobile phones of the largest party in the country, then there's a problem. I'm going to make one final point, which is not political.
So, Ghanshyam,
one final point.
Okay.
I think today in our country, some things which have become very important have stopped being political. For example, you look at the newspaper, you will read 3 lakh Indian students. I studied abroad. 3 lakh Indian students are at the risk of losing their OPT. Has anyone in the government, raise your hand if you have heard anyone, Mr. Jaishankar or anybody else, speak up for them? These are people, we just spoke about wealth, young and wealthy. These are people who took loans like me, went abroad, with a promise of a certain kind of future for them and then their family holds them as social trophies. Why should the government not talk about it? Why should not the government not talk about tariffs? These are things that matter to the future of our country. Suddenly, we are in a phase where this is not political, but Aurangzeb is political. Something that happened 500 years ago is political, but what is happening 5 minutes ago is not political.
Right. No,
Can
I tell
I
you,
respond to that?
No. I tell you what. We can always have this political bashing, and one can bash the other at all points in time, and it's very convenient to do. The point is that the conversation around Aurangzeb came from somebody from the Samajwadi Party. The utterances of Prime Minister Narendra Modi can be criticized, but the utterances of leaders of the Samajwadi Party or other people across the this one are not very to be colored in glory. The point I'm trying to make is not the political scoring point. Now, the point I'm trying to make is, you may disagree with the Prime Minister, but all political parties need fresh infusion into their political parties. So if there is a whole vision of 1 lakh fresh faces into politics, non-dynastic people into politics. Now, the PM did not say they're going to join the BJP, right? The PM said, we need at least 1 lakh people over the next 20 years joining politics, so that there is fresh infusion of political thought. Now, whether they join AAP, they join any Samajwadi Party, TDP, any of the political party, Congress or BJP, any political party, you need fresh infusion. My question to you is, that fresh infusion of politics from a Yuva today has to happen on a binary thought process or on a carefully thought out ideological thought process, which says, I will stand steadfast on a point, I will tell someone else that what you're saying is wrong, your utterances are wrong, but I'm not going to make it personal with them. Is it not that politics that we would like to see? Now, what are we going to do to get to there? That's what. What is it that's going to inspire 1 lakh more youngsters over the next 10, 12, 15 years to join politics in the first place? I'm coming there itself. Because if we go down this line, it's going to be so negative. Bole yaar, chhod do yaar. And then what will happen? It will be the dirt, the muck, the riffraff of society who will continue to dominate politics. It will not be intelligent people. It will not be young achievers. It will not be smart, talented people who are not only educated, but they're also rooted to the ground. They're coming from backgrounds which have seen certain discourse. Yes, Varun. That's what I'm trying to drive at. We can always keep this bashing going. It's very convenient.
I get this point, Anandji. As long as 1 lakh, 10 lakh, firstly, I welcome the statement by the Honorable Prime Minister that he needs 1 lakh youngsters across the political spectrum with infusion of thoughts, whatever agenda it is. When you have a 1 lakh people joining the political force of this Indian landscape, remember where and what agenda is driving them to come to politics. Is it the rich and the wrongful incentives that is attracted? Or is it because of an idea that is driven to solve problems right from the ground level? Or is it because of any other factor or to enjoy the power or something else? Politics is definitely not a rosy path, like as you see. If you find out across, you use your intelligence or you use your AI, you use your whatever mechanism, the country like India, the biggest challenge that we have today is, if youth wants to enter politics, I will have a subsequent question to every one of us asked amongst ourselves, why? That's the first question. All of us are asking, youth have to come to politics, but why? Why? I will have only 2 instances in this country when youth were driven into politics. One is because of the demographic dividend. So we are about 27 to 28% youth now, probably at the range of youth when we call it as youth. And if the demographic dividend keeps us giving more youngsters as a population, it's inevitable that youth will come into politics. But what is the agenda behind them when to come into politics? Have we put the rightful incentive for politicians working in this country? Or is politicians still a service-based kind of thing? So let's differentiate what is the root cause of their brains storming up to becoming politicians. I decided to become a politician in my 9th standard. At 14 years of my age, when I visited Delhi for the first time and I saw Parliament, I was mind blown. I said, people told me that this is a temple of democracy. All our fates are decided here. So that's the moment I fell in love with Parliament and parliamentarian democracy. I started studying about parliamentarian democracy. I joined, at my age 15, I joined a student organization. And it's about 16 to 18 years of journey here, and we are here. But it's very important for us to understand what is incentivized, what is the neurological incentive that younger generations of this country are asking themselves to join politics. If it is not ideology driven, if it is not governance driven, if it is not policy making driven, if it is something else, then let's wait for a moment. Let these leaders do the course correction. Let us fill that gap. Let us understand what youngsters want to come and what are they wanting to solve. And one point, I'll just conclude in the last 10 seconds. Let universities and schools have a curriculum wherein grand old problems of India since independence are being educated and taught. Let us tell our youngsters that these are the problems in politics. Come here to solve these problems. Come here to address these problems. You might not be incentivized. You might not have a power. You might not have anything. Come for the local governance. And one more thing. In a country with so much of population and with 543 MPs now, so even if you make it double the number, it won't be enough. The ratio is very thin. Have the local government strengthen. Make youngsters part of a local government where they can handle 50, 100, 200 people at a time, solve their problems, give autonomous powers to them at local level, and then come them so that they'll understand the process. They'll come back with fresh infusion of thoughts because they've solved little problems first. Please ask the students or youngsters why they want to come into politics. That's the important question.
No, why should we ask someone why you want to come into politics before we even give them a reason or give them career politics as an option? Priyanka ji, look at Aam Aadmi Party. 12 years, 2010, massive rise, India against corruption, 2012, transformation into a political party, 2025, you reach your zenith, and somewhere with the loss for Delhi, there are questions asked around Punjab. So as a political party, you will also have to recalibrate. Did you lose your way somewhere? The ideals with which many people who joined the Aam Aadmi Party, a lot of them went out. Did the goals change? Did the goalposts shift? And if the AAP model of governance or the AAP model of growth as a political party fails, then will youth want to look at other options, fresh options?
Anandji, there are two questions there.
Yeah.
I'll answer both. First is that we still got 44%, BJP got 46% in Delhi. What had happened is that, there was a systematic dismantling over the past 5 years where our leaders were imprisoned, where work was stalled, their obstacles were created. It was all a good master planning by BJP, no doubt. Secondly, I really want to make one observation that I had is, you started with people unfriending because of political differences. I saw that between 2014 and 19, the first 5 years, definitely I would say that. But the new worry is that the youth today does not want to talk politics. They say, I'm apolitical. Why did that happen? When you arrest a Disha Ravi, saying that this is propaganda, she is not working for the climate, you somewhere silence the youth into questioning you. When you arrest an Amit Sharma, a journalist, and urinate in his mouth because he questioned about train derailment, people will be like, oh, I'm apolitical. So this systematic dismantling of our institutions in a way, because you can arrest anyone arbitrarily, this systematic, this vindicative kind of
politics. But this is not a one-way street, Priyanka ji. It's not a one-way street.
I'm saying the government did it intentionally
every
that
political
say,
party,
I'm apolitical.
Every political party
Sure.
that once gets into power gets corrupted by this. So there are actions which happen by every political. I'm not shielding any
said
single.
with great power comes great responsibility. I agree with
Yeah,
Superman.
but there is also Plato, Socrates who said power corrupts and absolute power corrupts. Absolutely. So,
Yes.
so where do you draw the line? How do I tell anybody and everybody that politics is a viable option? Final 1.5 minutes so between you and Ghanshyam. Yes.
Anand, I think I want to make one thing very clear. We are the youngest country of this world. We have around 70% people who are below the age of 35. The average age of this country is 28 years old. India is aspirational. India is growing. India is not what India was in 2013. When I joined college, I was not an aspirational youth. When I joined college, the headlines of my newspapers that I used to read were that इतने scams हो रहे हैं इंडिया के अंदर, हमारी forest reserve deplete होती जा रही है, we are a fragile 5 economy. A lot of such things were there. Today, the narrative has changed. When the youth, when they are going out, when the youth has so many opportunities, when India is growing, airports double होते जा रहे हैं, सड़कें ज़्यादा बनती जा रही हैं, startups from 1 unicorn to 100 unicorn. When the country is growing like that, I think it is the aspirational India which has to just ignore this noise.
No.
You have to ignore
the
noise.
Aspirational India.
And
No,
only
here's the
noise
thing.
because
The,
of
no,
question.
the aspirational India also needs to see an intellectual political discourse.
Absolutely.
So raising the bar of the political discourse is a collective responsibility.
Absolutely.
It's not the responsibility of one party or another. It's everybody.
I think Anand, the
Ghanshyam
young should
Pandu.
not be blamed for, changing that discourse or bringing that animosity between political parties. The young in all political parties, I think, this must be a phase where probably this has happened, but I speak for everybody sitting here. All the young people who are joining politics, who are contributing on various platforms in various ways, are, more acceptive of different ideas, and are also
as long as there is an allowance of multiple streams of thoughts rather than blocking one or the other. Yes, Ghanshyam, final word to go to wind up.
I'll conclude with two simple thoughts on the core topic. One is an opportunity, one is a challenge. We spoke about 1 lakh young politicians. With the passage of Women Reservation Bill, today after 6,000 MPs and MLAs in the country, 600 are women. With the passage of that bill, there will be 2,000 women MPs and MLAs in the country. If for each of these seats there are 4 women who are contesting, we're talking about 8,000 candidates.
Yes. And why were you opposing it?
Each such woman having 5 women members in their team, we're talking about 50,000 new women entering politics just because of that. The challenge for the youth is going to be, if you just look at the data, and no matter what the government says, the average wealth of a politician is rising. When you think about the average poverty lowering in the country, when you start with a prospect that jobs are not there, a lot of people are becoming delivery boys. The challenge that you will face due to wealth in politics, due to crime and corruption in politics, is rising at a very rapid pace, and it will be your biggest hurdle no matter what the ruling government says.
Well, I think we're going to wind up on that note to say that it is the responsibility of every individual political party, its patrons, its leaders, to ensure that this does not happen. What you highlighted does not happen. People don't join politics to make money, to turn it into a corrupt practice, rather than to look at policy and clean governance. Thank you for an engaging conversation. Future looks bright with voices like these. Thank you very much. Thank you.